videos. In this video, we are going to discuss about the security. Now, from branch to branch, there is already security because there is a tunnel and there is an IPsec. That's not a problem. That's not an issue over the internet because that has been encrypted traffic. But still, we want to be more careful and we want to implement some security because branch 1, whenever trying to communicate with the branch 2, they are able to communicate via the data center. That's it. But there is a no control over there. If I want to go with telnet, I'm allowed. If I do the ping, I'm allowed. If I do the SSH, I'm allowed. And if I do the port number 80, still allow 443 and still allow. So all the ports are allowed, which is not good. So using the security policy, you can implement your firewall policy, your URL policy, your IPS policy, or if you have the AMP, you can integrate your AMP, and if you want a DNS policy to be integrated to configure it, you can configure it. So let's go back to the vmanage, and if I say that if I go to configuration and security, and here you see that for the security I do have the list, and in the list you do have different types of what do we say, uh, which we can configure, like if you want to configure the application data prefix, domain, signatures, URL, block the URLs, blocking URL, allow URL, zones, ports, protocols, rule sets, geolocation, object group. So these are the different categories or different things you can configure on the security list. Now policies and the profiles, if I go back to security, click on add security. Now coming to the compliance, within the compliance you see that it's an application firewall, intrusion prevention and SSL decryption. If you want the guest access security policy, then firewall, URL filtering, same thing. And if you want to cloud, you have little bit different things which can be configured, and direct internet access. So these are the different things which you can configure, but since we are doing the lab, the custom should be good enough. So once I click on that one, first thing is that I get the firewall. Next is the intrusion, URL filtering, advanced malware protection, DNS security, TLS, SSL, and policy summary. So let's create a firewall policy now. So my first intention will be that I want to block all the traffic between branch 1 and branch 2. So if I come back to create a new firewall policy, default action is drop. I will say firewall policy. Now zones. So its firewall policy is like an firewall. It will act as a firewall application, and firewall, whenever we are talking about the firewall, definitely there should be some zones. So if you talk about the ASA, then it will be like inside, outside, maybe DMZ. So if you see our previous lab also in the ASA, if I say show IP, you see that for the interfaces I have assigned what is the zone name and the IP address. Same applies over here. Here also we will be assigning the zone names. Only difference here is that it will be assigned to the interfaces over there. Over here it will be assigned to the VPNs. Now first lab will be that I want to block all the traffic within the VPN 10 between the branches 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and say that apply the zone. I don't have any zones, so I will click on new zone and I will say that VPN 10. So VPN 10. So VPN 10 and VPN 10. So source and the destination will be VPN 10 only because I'm blocking between these two. And save. So I will click on save firewall policy. Please fill in the required. Okay, I need a description and the firewall policy. So firewall policy has been saved, so I don't have any intrusion right now. So click on next. No URL, no advanced, no DNS, no SSL, and the policy summary. Now here you see that direct internet application. So if you have a direct internet, in our case, yes, we do have direct internet access over there. So whatever the traffic which is going to internet, we are blocking. But whenever it is a VPN 10, then we want to block it within the branches. Okay. So bypass firewall policy and allow all internet traffic to or from VPN 0. Now this one will be the security version 1 with the firewall policy. And click on save. Now you do have different options over here. TCP sync flood you should be enabling in real time because when the attack happens, the sync there should be there should be a limit for desynchronizing packets that should be accepted, and after that we should be dropping because that will utilize the CPU. High speed logging, this to instead of if you want to bypass any of the rules, then you will use this one, and that should be all good. Let's go ahead and click on save policy. Now this is a security policy, so you need to apply it on the device template. So we go to template, go to device, go to the additional template, and this is where is the security, and click on update. So let's click on next, configure, and configure OK. So by default I will be blocking everything, and after that I will start allowing the traffic one by one. Alright, that's been pushed. So let's go to the branch 1 router, and in the branch 1 router, if I say that ping 10.10.202.11, see that my traffic has been blocked. Now in the branch 2, let me see, show run section line VTY, that is been configured. No. So let me configure the line VTY 0 to 4, transport input all, no login, and exit. So I will also check from branch 1 to branch 2 using the telnet. So I will say that telnet 10.10.202.11, and you see that I am not able to access. So before, if I scroll up, you see that 10.10.20.11 I was able to ping, but now after the security policy that is been blocked. So my full access has been blocked. That's good now. Now let's go ahead and now allow the traffic. So even if I try to ping it to data center 1, that traffic will also be blocked because it has been applied to the, what do we say, branch. So let me say ping 10.10.101.1, that is my branch device itself, which is also not able to ping. So completely block. So now first thing is that I will first allow telnet. So once I allow the telnet, I should be able to telnet from branch 1 to branch 2. So let's go to the configuration, security, edit, go to the firewall, and this is where we will click on edit. Now we will add a rule saying that source can be anything, source port, and the destination can be anything, but the protocol will be telnet. So we select telnet. Okay, port number 23, and click on save. Now this will be telnet allow. So I'm inspect. Now again, this is where you have to be careful because you do have three different options. One is pass, one is drop, and one is inspect. So drop means it will drop the traffic, that's self-explanatory. Inspect means it will inspect the traffic, whether it is been allowed or not, it will check it. And when we are inspecting, that means it will keep a record of the, what do we say, the connection. So it will keep the record of the connection. Now pass works in a little different way. So for example, branch 1 is trying to communicate with branch 2. If it is drop, it's straightforward. If it is inpex, it will have a connection record. That's fine. But with the pass, what happens is like it will be a stateless. So it will have no record. So this is my source prefix, and this is my destination prefix. So when I am using the pass, so what I have to do is that I have to say that first number rule, I will give a name that should be A and this should be B. So I should be telling that A should be allowed to communicate with B and the traffic should be pass. That is one way, but while returning it will be dropped. So I need to write one more saying that B should be allowed to communicate with A and the traffic will be pass. Only in case of pass you have to write two rules in order to outgoing and incoming traffic. Apart from that, drop means self-explanatory. Inspect means it will have the record, so you don't have to create two rules. Only one rule is enough. But with the pass, since it is a stateless, so you have to say that outgoing as well as incoming traffic. Both of them you have to define it. So currently what I'm going to do is that I'm going to allow the traffic. So that should be inspect, telnet allow, click on save and save the policy. Save the policy, click on next, and it should now push it. Now, usually this is good because in the real-time scenario, we will be allowing only TCP connections to 443 mostly. Most of the application works on 443, so this is the only port that will be mostly allowed on that port on the devices so that the ping and the different ports, FTP and the SSH ports, all of these ports will be blocked. And by default, you should be keeping it blocked as a security. So you should be only allowing the services which they require. Most of them will work on TCP port 443. So that is been said. Now let's go back to our branch router one. So previously when I do the telnet to branch 2, it was not allowing. So let's do it now. And now you see that it has opened that connection now. Okay, so branch 1 and 2 are able to communicate, but only telnet connection. Now we do also have a zone. Now this security policy is good to be in place every time, but since we are dealing with the zone pairs, so first zone pair was between the 10 and 30, sorry, 10 and the 10, and this is where we have totally blocked it. But it makes sense when you are trying to communicate with 10 to 30, which we have done route leak. Again, it's similar process, nothing new. But all over, it is good to implement the security policy on the whatever the corporate VPNs are, okay, so that we block every traffic and we start filtering the traffic, which traffic should be allowed. Okay, so let's go to the configuration security now. So let's go to the edit, go to the firewall. So let me create one more firewall policy, create new, and here I can say that I want to say that source will be 10 and the destination will be VPN 30. And this is where by default you will be dropping, and after that you will start filtering. You will say that only traffic 443 should be allowed. Now let's be free. I will just click on cancel here for now. Let me go to monitor and network. So let me see via the branch 1, via the stimulating flows. If I go to troubleshoot, go to stimulate flows, go to VPN 10, and I want to go to destination 10.10.202.1, and my protocol will be number 1, which is ICMP, which is been blocked. Click on stimulate. So the flows will show that yes, you are able to reachable, but when you go to the device, you are not able to ping. Okay, so if I change this one to 11, which is my edge device, end device, and you see that still it is showing. But the flows are only seeing in a view of the fabric. That means there is a reachability. So that's why the flows are showing me that it is reachable. So there is a path, but definitely it will be a path. But we are interested whether it is been blocked or not. You are able to see via the end devices. Now let's go back to the configuration policies and the add a new policy. As we said, applying for the VPN 10 source and the destination will be VPN 30 and the action will be drop, and I will create one more rule that should be ICMP allow, otherwise I will create later on. And ICMP is already blocked, means if I say ping 10.30.101.10, that should also be blocked. So irrespective of if I say that it is between 10 to 30, doesn't matter because this is been done the route leaking, so the routes have been transferred into the VPN 10, so we don't have to worry about it. So it's the same VPN, doesn't matter if it is a 10.30.101, which is a VPN 30, but we have imported those routes into VPN 10, so that's why my VPN 10 source and destination VPN 10 should be valid. Alright, so that was for the security. I hope this was informative for you and thank you.